For more on this year's auto show, I'm joined by Patrick George in Detroit. He's the editor-in-chief of Jalopnik. That's an online news outlet focusing on the latest in the automotive industry. Patrick, welcome to our show. People have been talking about this year's lineups, 2020 Explorer SUV, Toyota Supra, that's finally here. What should consumers and car buyers be looking for this year?
Thanks for having me on, and you're definitely right. You named some of the big debuts that are going to be happening at this auto show. Obviously, the U.S. market is moving heavily toward crossovers and SUVs. It has been for some time, and as such, the U.S. automakers in particular are retooling their lineups to eliminate smaller cars and sedans almost entirely. So we're seeing more and more big debuts of larger crossovers and SUVs this year. The Ford Explorer is one. The luxury Cadillac XT6 is another that's very important. We'll also see some fun stuff too. The Toyota Supra is making its big debut after almost 20 years. It's now a BMW-based car, but it looks to be a really great performance machine. And also Ford may be debuting a very fast new GT500 Mustang. So there's some important stuff and some things to be excited about too.
Like you just mentioned, Patrick, some people are also saying that this year's auto show offers a glimpse into the future with more utility vehicles and sports cars like sedans and small-sized cars. Why is that?
It's a combination of a few things. For one, in the United States, gas is still relatively cheap right now, and credit has been widely available. Those two factors have led American buyers to largely move into bigger cars. If you give Americans a chance, they tend to go bigger with their vehicles. So crossovers and SUVs and pickup trucks are king right now. Whereas smaller, more fuel-efficient cars just aren't selling very well at all.
And another issue that is generating lots of buzz in global media is electric cars. You know, Tesla opening plants in Shanghai, around the world, and the green concept. How much of that are we going to see this year?
That's definitely the second major trend we're going to be watching the auto industry this year, and in Detroit in particular. More and more, the auto industry is moving towards electrification, driven in large part by China being the largest global car market, and its government's huge push towards electrification. And so all automakers are following suit, and we'll have some big EV debuts this year, and especially next year in 2020.
And talking about Chinese cars, what specific brands and companies are you looking for?
Sure. This year in particular at Detroit, we're looking forward to seeing what GAC is doing. In the past few years, they've had some pretty big displays at Detroit and have showed off their new car lineup. And this year, they're also going to be debuting a new SUV concept called the N-Trons. Now, this is a pretty big deal for GAC because they've said in recent years that 2019 is the year they want to start selling cars in the United States, and that they've been recruiting American auto dealers to help them do that. So I think we'll find out in the coming days whether they've been successful at that or not, and if we will see Chinese cars for sale in America for the first time ever this year.
You know, Patrick, I've also heard people saying that they're reevaluating the value of debuting their cars at Detroit auto shows. It's expensive, it's a lot of work. Is it worth it?
Yes and no. I've definitely noticed over the past few years, the trend has been that auto shows in particular are less important in terms of new product reveals and news. You just kind of see a lot less news of these things than you used to. I think the internet has a lot to do with it. I think that automakers can debut their cars online or at special standalone events, so they don't have to share space with their competitors. But it's still a big deal to come to the Detroit Auto Show. This is still the biggest auto show in North America. It's the home game for the U.S. manufacturers. Showing off a car here is a big deal, and it still matters a lot.
Patrick George, editor-in-chief of Jalopnik, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.